How the Filipino guerrillas hunted Japanese forces after World War II. The war didn't end in '45 for everyone. The guns fell silent in 1945, but in the shadowed jungles of Luzon, war still burned. Dozens of Japanese holdouts refused surrender, believing the emperor still fought. Filipino guerrillas, hardened by years of brutal occupation, refused to let them vanish. These warriors didn't wait for orders. Armed with World War II grit and jungle cunning, they hunted the ghosts of an empire. In scattered provinces, locals whispered of attacks, ambushes, stolen supplies, and missing villagers. Guerrilla units, now operating independently, marked maps with last known sightings and movement patterns. The hunt was on. These weren't soldiers. They were hunters, stalkers of phantoms in the mist. War didn't end in '45. Not here. For these Filipinos, the jungle became a proving ground. Honor, revenge, and justice fueled every step. And for the Japanese, still clinging to hope, the nightmare had just begun. They weren't just hiding, they were surviving. Japanese remnants built entire camps in the mountains of Mindoro, Leyte, and northern Luzon. They fished by night, scavenged supplies from villages, and ambushed lone travelers for food. Locals called them forest ghosts, but the guerrillas saw something more dangerous: trained killers still operating under wartime mindset. These were men who had sworn never to surrender, and many had gone mad with time. Filipino units like the Hunters ROTC and remnants of the Hagbalahap reorganized with a new mission: elimination. Intelligence spread by whisper and radio. Trail markings, food smoke, stolen pigs, all signs of nearby holdouts. Traps were baited, trails rigged with explosives. These weren't open battles. They were surgical strikes designed to flush and finish. The guerrillas knew the land better than anyone, and they had one rule: no second chances. They didn't capture. They ended the war one man at a time. In late 1946, Operation Jungle Blade launched in the Sierra Madre. Intelligence pointed to a group of 12 Japanese soldiers raiding mountain villages. The guerrillas struck at dawn, camouflaged in leaves. They moved like shadows, closing in on a hidden camp near a waterfall. A gunshot shattered the silence. Chaos exploded. Bolos clashed with bayonets. Gunfire echoed off the clinging walls. One guerrilla tackled a fleeing soldier into the river. Hand-to-hand combat turned the stream red. When the smoke cleared, 7 Japanese lay dead. The rest fled deeper in the mountains, but they were bleeding and marked. The guerrillas didn't stop. They hunted for footprints, blood trails, broken branches. Even the wildlife avoided those paths. One by one, they picked them off. Jungle Blade wasn't just a mission. It was a warning. The Filipino warriors hadn't forgotten the suffering of war, and they would finish it with blades drawn. High in the Cordilleras, a Japanese patrol moved under moonlight, unaware they were walking into death. The guerrillas had tracked them for days, watching their habits, mapping their routes. Tonight was the night. They rigged the pass with grenades and dug firing pits into the cliffs. As the patrol entered the fog-choked trail, a single rifle crack rang out. Then, hell erupted. Explosions lit the cliffs. Guerrillas opened fire from above, pinning the enemy in a deadly funnel. Screams echoed in the mist. One Japanese soldier charged with a bayonet. He was cut down mid-stride. The ambush lasted just 6 minutes. Not one enemy escaped. When the smoke cleared, the guerrillas vanished into the trees, leaving only silence and spit-shut pieces. Word spread fast. The jungle wasn't safe anymore. Filipino fighters weren't just resisting now. They were erasing the last remnants of the invaders, one ambush at a time. In a remote valley near Nueva Ecija, strange sightings stirred fear. Villagers reported movement at night, shadows crossing fields, livestock slaughtered. The guerrillas moved in. No gunfire, just quiet tracking. They found broken trees, ashes from fires, Japanese food rations. A trail of whispers led into the gorge. It was a trap. The holdouts waited with rifles in the trees, but the guerrillas were ready. They set decoys, circled behind, and lit fires to flush them out. As the Japanese scrambled from cover, bullets tore through the trees. One guerrilla dropped from a branch with a BOLO, taking down a stunned soldier. It was close, brutal, and swift. When it was over, they counted 5 dead enemies and took one prisoner who begged to surrender. For the first time, a holdout admitted the emperor was gone. The war was over, but the jungle still demanded a final reckoning. In 1949, the last known holdout in Palawan was tracked to a forgotten cave near the sea. He had survived alone for 4 years. Booby traps, scavenged food, and memories of a war long over. Locals feared the ghost soldier, calling him the jungle captain. But the guerrillas found him. They waited for the tide to trap him. As he emerged to fish, they surrounded him. He raised his rifle, but froze. One guerrilla shouted in Japanese. The war ended. Come home. Silence. Then he dropped the weapon. Tears streamed down his face. He had been fighting a war that had ended with Hiroshima. As he was led away, he whispered, I thought we had one. For the guerrillas, there was no glory, only a long, bitter end. They weren't just warriors, they were witnesses. And now, they could finally lay their blades to rest. Time has swallowed the battlefield, but deep in the forest, the earth still holds the echoes, bullets buried in roots, rusted rifles entangled in vines, and memories etched in stone. The Filipino guerrillas didn't fight for medals. They fought for freedom, for justice, for the villages that burned and the brothers they buried. Their war didn't end with a treaty. It ended with sweat, blood, and relentless courage. Today, only a few remain. Old men with sharp eyes and quiet smiles, remembering the nights they hunted ghosts under the moon. Their stories live on, in the jungles they defended, the families they protected, and the silence they fought with steel. In the end, it wasn't tanks or bombs that cleansed the land. It was the will of ordinary men who refused to forget. This was their victory, and the jungle remembers. Like, share, and subscribe to honor their legacy.